I typically am a fan of teams that are aggressive, of teams that go for it. Because frankly, in today's NFL, you never know what you're going to get out of teams from one year to the next. So if you feel like you have a chance, go after it. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't sit on your hands. If you see an opportunity to make a move, to make your team better right here, right now, then you've got to do that 100 out of 100 times. Now that said, just because you make a big, aggressive move doesn't necessarily mean that it makes your team a whole lot better, and doesn't really, frankly, mean it makes a whole lot of sense. And that's the way I really look at this Jalen Ramsey trade for the Los Angeles Rams. It's kind of a head-scratching, puzzling move and decision, frankly, in my opinion, for this Rams organization. Let's take a look at what the Rams really are right now. They're the defending NFC champs, even though you could argue maybe they shouldn't have been there, but they were, because not one single call is going to ultimately decide a game. Let's be fair here. So you come back off of that season, and now you sit there at 3-3. You've got to keep Talib going on IR, and to in part facilitate this other move that you made, you sent Marcus Peters to the Ravens, which was interesting in and of itself. And you decided, as a 3-3 football team, where Todd Gurley clearly is not the same player he's been in the past, the offensive line is not playing very well at all, Jared Goff flat out has sucked this year, you decide the best way as a 3-3 football team to make a big-time splash to make your team better is to trade for Jalen Ramsey. I get it. Maybe you're in Los Angeles and you like the thought of having stars. And Jalen Ramsey most certainly is a star. But this one I just can't get behind. This one just does not make a whole lot of sense to me. And when you look at this deal too, the Rams gave up 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick in order to get a guy who only has 1 year left on his rookie contract. And the reality is, you're probably, if you haven't already gotten to work on a long-term contract, you're going to have issues with him this offseason trying to get him locked into a long-term deal for a team that is already up against the cap. And I know you could be creative, and in theory, you could get Jalen Ramsey done if you want to, but how much is it going to negatively impact other areas of your team? All the while, in order to bring this guy in, where you could question how much real impact he's going to have. Because remember, Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters were going to make their defense so much better, and all that shit didn't happen. Now you're plunking 2 first-round picks into Jalen Ramsey. Like, this to me is mind-numbingly stupid. Especially when you look at the division that the freaking Rams play in. If you had a division full of receivers, like let's say you would have in the NFC North, if you had Adam Thielen, or Stephon Diggs, or Devontae Adams, or Allen Robinson, if you had guys around the outside that you had to worry about, then that deal kind of makes sense. But when you talk about specifically the division that the Rams play in, easily the 49ers' best pass-catching option is George Kittle. For the Seahawks, yeah, you got DK Metcalf and you got Tyler Lockett. And then you look at the Cardinals, you got Larry Fitzgerald, who's primarily playing in the slot. Like, you could talk about lining up Ramsey all over the place and having playing him in the slot against people, but that's not his best, most natural fit. So from a pure defensive schematic fit, it's kind of weird to me. And then looking at that defense and how much they have sucked so far this year, do you really think Jalen Ramsey is going to make that much of a difference when you already traded away Peters, who is shits himself, and Aqib Talib is out for however many weeks due to injury? So you're kind of break even there at the very, very best. And how is this going to help Todd Gurley get his knee healthy? How is this going to help the offensive line block better in both phases of the game? How in the hell is this going to make Jared Goff better in any way, shape, or form? And all the while, You've paid Jared Goff all this money to be, at best, an average NFL starting quarterback. I mean, that's what he is. You have paid all that money to that guy. And now you look at this situation. Since you traded up big to go get Jared Goff in 2016, you haven't had a first-round pick in 2017. You haven't had a first-round pick in 2018. You haven't had a first-round pick in 2019. You will not have a first-round pick in 2020. You will not have a first-round pick in 2021. You can make an argument potentially about there's something to be said with taking draft picks and turning them into proven commodities, but at some point in time, that shit comes back to bite you. It comes back to bite you and bite you big time because you have trouble replenishing your roster. You have trouble replacing some of the people that you can't afford to pay because you're trading for guys like Jalen Ramsey. This is just mind-numbing to me. The Rams are basically saying they're okay with going half a decade without a first-round pick. Half a decade. And sure, you've got Aaron Donald. You've got your franchise defensive player. Now you've got Jalen Ramsey. You argue you've got your franchise-level shutdown cover corner. But I don't just really see how this is going to help this team all that much, especially with the plethora of issues that they have on the offensive side of the ball. Like ding dong dumb dicks. It doesn't matter if you have the greatest defense of all time if your offensive line can't freaking block. If Todd Gurley's not the same guy that he once was, and Jared Goff is playing like a damn mental midget, it's not going to make a damn bit of difference. So while sure there are going to be some people that are all excited about this and how this is a big deal and how this is a big move, in the grand scheme of things, I really struggle to see how this truly makes the Rams that much better. And if a deal is not going to make you that much better, then you probably shouldn't be giving up 2 first-round picks in order to make that deal. And if we compare it to another notable deal that we've seen recently, my Bears with Khalil Mack, the overall price the Bears gave up to get Khalil Mack was less than what the Rams are giving up to get Jalen Ramsey. And Khalil Mack is a better football player than Jalen freaking Ramsey. No disrespect to Ramsey, but it's damn true. So the Bears gave up less to get more. The Rams gave up more to get less. I'm really struggling to figure out how this deal makes a whole lot of sense for them. From a Jaguars standpoint, perhaps it's the best of a bad situation. You'd like to keep your stars that you spent a top 5 pick on, sure. But if he's not happy, and you don't want to pay him long term, and you feel like you may be not really going anywhere any damn ways, why tie yourself up into a ton of money for this guy when it's not going to make much of a difference? In the meantime, you managed to be able to play this out enough to where you were able to get your price. That to me is taking the best out of a bad situation. You got your 2 first-round picks, and the Rams are dumb enough they threw in a 4th-round pick to boot. And chances are, this probably wasn't the only team that you could have gotten a similar level type of deal from. And you look at it right now, the Rams being 3-3, I mean, there's a chance that the Rams don't even make the damn playoffs. So if they do that, at least you feel like you got 1 year's worth of a top 20 pick. You got 3 swings at the plate now to basically see if you can get one guy that can equal up to Jalen Ramsey or come close to it. And if you hit on 2 or 3 of those picks, then you really come out smelling like roses on the deal. You get a couple of guys that can contribute for 4 or 5 years on rookie contracts where you let another team pay big time for Jalen Ramsey. Jaguars, solid move. Little tough to sell it right now when you're 2-4 and you feel like in that division maybe you have a chance. But looking long term, this is what they felt like they had to do. They could have done a lot worse. The Rams, really hard to see where this makes a whole lot of sense.